I'm so excited today to talk to a chiropractor who I appreciate on Instagram who just makes fantastic reels. So let's just pick his brain behind the scenes. It's Dapper Chiro, Dr. Dean. So welcome and go ahead and tell us about yourself.
Thank you so much, Jenna. It's lovely to actually meet you. I say like virtually in person because so much of our world now, you just see people on the screen and you see them in the DMs. It's really lovely to put a face to the name. I've been a chiropractor for almost 17 years. So like many people during the lockdown, decided to get stuck into social media and try and just add some value as opposed to being somebody who'd always used it prior to that as like a consumer. So just checking and seeing what people are up to. So it's been a very interesting journey, but it's opened up lots of doors and lots of opportunities, and it's also meant that I get to speak to wonderful people like yourself. So it's a pleasure to chat to you. What is, I guess, is it your afternoon now?
It is. It is.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, looking forward to it.
So you're in Kent, correct?
Yes. So Southeast England, about an hour's drive just outside of London.
Fantastic. All right. So tell us a little bit more about how you're using social media and its purpose in your office.
It's been an opportunity for us to reach our community in a way that we weren't necessarily able to before. And I say that kind of loosely because, you know, in the past, we've gone out and we've done community events and we've done screenings and other bits and pieces like that. So I think to be able to reach our community at large, at scale, in a way which is short and sharp, social media has been a really wonderful tool for that. So certainly from my perspective, when I started diving into it at the beginning of the lockdown, it was an opportunity to be creative, to try and just influence, I guess, public perception about what I felt chiropractic is and could be. I think that for the largest part, a lot of us in the UK, you know, when I have clients come in, it's like, are you going to use like this strap thing that everyone seems to be using? Or am I going to get like all this, like, you know, this cracking and other bits and pieces? Like, okay, there are techniques within chiropractic that we use and there are some that we don't, but this is kind of how we practice. And I think that what social media is really good for is for you to put yourself out there personally and then your business at large and say, this is what chiropractic is to us or whatever it might be. Yes. And I think that's what we've been able to kind of utilize.
That's wonderful. I love that. Just that window into what your practice does. That's fantastic. So where are you getting ideas? Because everybody always asks me, what do people want to know? And where do I get ideas?
There are going to be a few places that I use like regularly, I guess. Most of it tends to be in here. I'm actually in my office now. There you go. So from conversing with clients and listening to what they're saying, often they have questions that you would just answer. And you think, well, if they're asking it, chances are other people might be thinking it as well. So how can I package that up in a post or a reel or a story? So that's where I get a lot of my ideas, is from kind of speaking to clients and seeing kind of what questions they have and come out with. Then, of course, it's looking at what other influencers and other people on social media are doing and thinking, well, how could I put my spin on that? So I've been delving a lot into not necessarily just chiropractic, but I think we've got the ability now to look at what our cousins are doing and brothers and sisters. So we say like in osteopathy and in physical therapy and PT. And there's a lot of crossover in terms of the things that they see and the things that we see, Jenna. So quite often I will look at what kind of is trending there and what they're coming up with and think, well, does that apply to us in the chiropractic realm?
Right.
If it does, great. How can I put my spin on it? If it doesn't, can I still answer it in a chiropractic way? Because there are going to be things that they see that we might be referring across or vice versa. So I look at a lot of other people on social media and see what they're doing. And then I just try and put my spin on it and say, well, if they've covered it this way, how would I do it? How would I convey that to a patient? And then obviously then you can utilize your creativity and stuff on social media to do that.
Brilliant. Yes. I often tell people, even just having a notebook in the office where you can jot down, oh, they asked me that question, yep. Or notes on your phone if it's more
Yep.
handy. I am a notebook kind of person, so I like to have something physical to write things down in. Yes, there we go. Like that. old world and new. There's something too about writing it down that I think helps creativity to just kind of flow out, to journal out those ideas.
Absolutely. Yeah. When you start engaging, left brain, right brain in terms of like creativity and logic, there is something for getting that pen and paper down and jotting it down, because you're kind of thinking about it. And as you're thinking, that's where other ideas come. You think, oh, I'll make a note about this. And then, do you know what I mean? And then the whole thing will flow. I think sometimes, getting the phone out and trying to type or trying to put it down. I'm old school, Jenna. I didn't grow up with the internet. I'm showing my age now. I did not grow up with the internet. So I'm a pen and paper kind of guy.
Well, you're doing fantastic. So I know everybody's going to ask, all of your fun reels, are you doing it yourself, or do you have somebody who helps you edit and post them?
Do you know what? I'd love to outsource it. I think I'm a bit of a control freak, Jenna. I do it myself, and I think because it is so quick. Okay, is it so? It is quick. I think that you can spend as much time as you want to on reels and stories and on producing posts and stuff like that. So I tend to try and batch a lot of my stuff up. So I'll have a day where I'll just try and crank out a few things and then just save it, and then I'll come back to it later and I'll re-edit them on the phone and stuff like that. So I tend to do it all myself just because I can, and it works for me kind of in and around being in clinic. So that's how I tend to go about it. I know that some colleagues of mine will outsource it and they'll have people that will do the editing, or they'll have people that kind of come up with the design and stuff like that. But I quite like that kind of thing. I've always been quite creative in that sense. So I like using apps and Canva, for example, just to create posts and to kind of edit stuff. So I do it all myself at the minute. But I guess if it grows into this behemoth that it might do, who knows? I might have to outsource it. Yeah.
I think that that's a great thing. You mentioned a couple of wonderful things. Batching things is just a great system. I think that it helps so much, especially when you can, yes, use your analytical brain to, maybe write out posts, and then your creative side to do graphics, and you don't have to keep switching back and forth on any given day. That's so smart. And yeah, I feel like when you do it yourself, or at least when doctors are very involved in their content creation, that it just brings out your heart and soul and your personality. And that's really wonderful too, because people want to connect with you, not just a brand.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right, Jenna, because it allows you to put your feeling and your emotion into what it is you're kind of producing. There's nothing wrong with kind of outsourcing. And I think if it works for you and it fits in with your schedule, then fine, crack on. But I think there is merit in actually taking the time to put the stuff together, because again, sometimes the more cleaner cut things are and the more it looks like it's being produced, do you know what, from a client perspective and from just a human being perspective, it's almost like these TVs that are ultra 4K and this, that, and the other. And it's like, it's almost too much for your brain to process. It just it doesn't look right, and you start to kind of question things. So, some of my posts, they've got grammatical errors in, the lighting may not be the greatest, but whatever. Listen, it's showing that you are more interested in the value that you're giving and the words that you're saying or the message you're trying to get across, as opposed to necessarily the kind of the Hollywood image, which, is fine. If you've got the time to do that, great, crack on. But I think there's good merit in just being yourself, and in being yourself, hey, listen, none of us are perfect. So it's nice to kind of just spend the time just cranking out the content, and then you'll get better with repetition anyway. So, it will get better with time the more you practice and do it yourself.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I would rather post a photo of a doctor in their office with their patient that is a little bit grainy or not well lit, rather than any beautiful stock image that, it could be anybody.
Yeah,
There was one client who was running an ad with a different company, and it was an image that was clearly not this doctor. And it really does create just a gap in between the social media and the actual office. Yes, when it's, maybe that image was trending well or working well for those ads, but it wasn't going to actually convert people to getting to know this doctor and their clinic and all of those things. So, yeah.
That's a really important point. People want to know the person or the people behind the brand. So, stock images and other bits and pieces are absolutely fine. And I think if you can spend the time and you want to get professional images taken, or you want to use higher quality images of yourself or your clinic settings, then fine, that's absolutely fine. But I think that there is merit in just being yourself and showing yourself, and however that kind of comes across, fine. You can always do it. You can look at it and think, okay, how would I make that better? I can do this, this, and this, and then you do that next time, and you just rinse and repeat. But yes. I think it's a slippery slope when you start to kind of, you're dragging images from this and you're doing that and blah blah blah. And it's like, wait, is that them or is that someone completely different? Because when people rock up and it's like they're seeing someone different, it's like, well, that's what you're showing, but what I'm seeing is different. Like, what's the deal here? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a good question for us all to ask ourselves with our social media. Yes, I think just sometimes showing up as ourselves is harder, but better. So do you find that you get new patients from social media? And is that something that you really track? Is that something you ask new patients, or how does that go?
Yeah, yes and yes. In answer to your question, Jenna. Yeah, we do. It's really interesting. I think with the growth of social media, I get a lot of people reaching out. I mean, I'm speaking to you, and was it Chicago?
Yeah, I'm in Wichita, Kansas.
Kansas, right? Yeah. So I get questions from people in the States and Canada and Singapore and New Zealand and South Africa and stuff, and that's awesome. Now, I don't mind whether they're seeing myself. If they come to see me, hey, listen, I get people that come in from Facebook and Instagram off the back of what we do, and that's absolutely fine. I think for me, I never really went into it with that goal in mind. I think if it happened naturally and organically, which it does, and obviously we track the stats, then again, that's an added bonus. But for me, my driving force behind it was, one, to reach people in a way that I wasn't reaching them before, and new people, and being able to put across, like I say, my thoughts and feelings behind health and well-being and chiropractic and stuff like that. But also then just trying to, I guess, enhance the profession in terms of just being somebody that's a voice for the profession. We all have these devices which we can use to explain what health is and what chiropractic is, or physio or osteopathy or whatever it is, what field you're in. And I think that for me, I felt like I've been in this game for quite a while now, Jenna. I felt that I had somewhat of a duty to stamp a bit of my influence on this profession and say, well, okay, this is what chiropractic is to me. So through that, of course, I get a lot of people reaching out, asking questions, and messaging me in the DMs about, I'm in this country, but would you recommend I go and see this person or that person? Like, go and see somebody. I don't mind, because you'll be better off for it whether you see a chiropractor here with me or you see a chiropractor 1,500 miles away or whatever. So yeah, we do get, and I do have people coming in saying, oh, I saw your video on Facebook or Instagram, and that's cool. But yeah, for me, the goal behind doing it was to kind of get out there and then just enhance the profession in the public's image. That was my driving force.
I love that big vision. You're just absolutely my favorite. That is amazing. And I love it that to have that idea of a legacy and something that's just bigger than ourselves for humanity. It really does take something that, a lot of people are like, oh, social media can be really horrible, and it can, which is why I'm passionate about, well, let's show up then for everybody who is on it with that positivity, with that health. Let's interrupt all of that negativity with all of the good that we can bring.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's, the beauty I've said to you with the content and the stuff that you're putting out is it's refreshing. It's a breath of fresh air, because social media is busy and there's a lot of people using it. And, the message, I guess, can be very similar, but everybody has their own spin on it. Everyone has their own personality that they bring through. And that's what, when we started speaking, that's what I loved about what you're doing, is that you're helping empower people to do the same. Because it can be difficult when you're on the sidelines looking in, thinking, where do I even start? Just start, right? You can still have an impact. You can still reach people. You can still have a voice. And if you've got something to say, then pick up your phone, say it, open your laptop, say it, So keep doing what you are doing, because it's definitely having a positive effect. So well done.
Well, thank you. Last question here. What do you think is holding chiropractors and natural health practitioners back from using social media? You said, sometimes they don't know where to start. What else do you think holds us back?
I think there are so many voices on there. I mean, I don't know what the latest figures are, but I mean, there's billions of people using social media. Yay!
That's gonna be my little guy. He is my little office coworker.
Listen, I know what I've got 3 of them at home, and it's always the way.
Yeah.
I love it. How old is he?
He is 3.
Is he 3?
Yes.
Wow.
So, last question here. What do you think holds us back from starting social media? You said sometimes not knowing where to start, but what is keeping chiropractors, natural health practitioners from getting started and going?
It's the age-old thing, isn't it? It's the fear of failure. So what if I post stuff and nobody engages with it or likes it? Fine. I think it's also, there is so much now that you can do. Do I do video? Do I do short form and maybe just stories or reels? Do I do posting? Do I do some mad graphics? I think that the choice can be a little bit daunting for some people. It's like, I don't know where to start. So that can hold people back. And then, of course, it's just procrastination in the sense of, I don't have the time to, and I wish I could, and blah, blah, blah. And I think that, really when it boils down to it, it's one of those things which you do have to make the time to do. I mean, I do have to find time to do it, because otherwise life takes over, and then I could easily go, a week without being present on it, shall we say. So I have to try and make sure I show up in some way, shape or form regularly, because that's what I like when I follow people. I like to see what they're up to, and I like to see what they're doing, and I like to see the information they're posting, and they do that regularly. So for me, that's how I like to consume my content. So as somebody that's providing content, I feel like I have to do the same. I could just say from the very beginning, I'm going to just post content once a week. And if you let your audience know that that's what's going to happen, then they know. So they know, fine, I might not hear from him for a week, but he will be showing up, or twice a week or daily or whatever it might be. So I think one of the things, like I say, that will probably hold most people back is either because there's just a lot of voice, and I think, well, I'm just another person adding to the noise. Is it worth it? And I think if you have a message that you want to get across, absolutely it's worth it. Find somebody that will help you if you feel camera shy and you think, well, I'd love to be on camera, but I don't know maybe how to get across, or how to kind of conduct myself, or whatever it might be. Find somebody that's doing it and ask them how they're doing it, or work with a coach and see if they can kind of empower you to do it. But there are lots of different ways that you can show up online. So it's finding the medium that works best for you. Some people like doing blog posts. Some people like doing IG Live. Some people will go on to IGTV and they'll post a video. Some people will like to do adjusting. Some people do cool graphics or reels or whatever it might be. So find what works best for you and look at what you like to consume as content, should we say, because that will probably give you a good in as to what you'll probably be able to sustain. So I use Instagram, I use a little bit of Facebook, and I use YouTube. So they're the main platforms I use. People tell me all the time, oh, you should be on TikTok. I don't use TikTok. So for me, that would probably be pointless, because I just wouldn't either enjoy doing it or be able to sustain it, because I just don't use it that much. So find a platform that you use currently, or one that you enjoy using, and then find the type of content that you like to consume, and that will probably give you a good in as to, okay, I want to start producing content and I want to start producing value, but I don't know where to start. Well, how do you like to consume the content? Well, I like to do this, this, and this. I like to watch blah, 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 blah. All right, maybe start there. And you'll figure out along the way if that's something which you can kind of sustain. But there's a lot of voices online, and I think sometimes it's a case of, I want to join the party, but I'm worried I'm going to just be background noise. Everyone's in the party, and there are going to be little pods and little groups and communities in there. So you don't have to reach everybody. Pick a niche, pick a type of person you want to speak to, and find them, and then just speak to them, and you'll be golden.
Those are just wonderful points, absolutely. And I think, using Instagram and Facebook and YouTube is really strategic as well. I think those are great platforms to be using. So thank you so much for your time. And I just would encourage everybody to check out Dapper Chiro. It's fantastic. Can you say bye to Dr. Dean? Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
It's been really cool hanging out. Thank you. Pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
Okay. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Enjoy your evening. Take care.
Bye.